حي على الفلاح.
Seven ways of how to attain the khushu' in the salah. Some of us may be sick and tired of walking into the salah as if it is a routine. We go in and out and we haven't felt that connection between ourselves and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When one, he stands up for the salah, he's interacting with his Lord. He doesn't feel anything in his heart. It is as if it is just a random routine, like the different other aspects that he does on his day-to-day life. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, in this dunya there is a Jannah, there is a paradise. Whoever doesn't enter into this paradise, he won't enter into the paradise of the akhirah. Scholars, they differed. What was he speaking about? Some scholars, they mentioned being satisfied and content when you go through the different troubles and difficulties. And some of them, my brothers and my sisters, they said it is the salah. Before I mention the 7 points, I want to stand over the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, where he said, the abd, the servant, he stands in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in two cases. Going to be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the day when you meet him, and also standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the salah. Then Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he goes on to say, whoever takes the issue of the salah very lightly and he doesn't fulfill it how he should be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to what? Make the mawqif, the time when he is going to be standing in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, really difficult for him. And whoever, my brothers and my sisters, trying his utmost best in perfecting which he stands in front of Allah Azza wa Jal on a day-to-day basis, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for him then. Can you see the direct link, my brothers and my sisters? 2 times you're standing in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. Perfect your salat. And this is why we are here today. The believers are successful. The first characteristic that was mentioned was what? Or the first quality? Those who have khushu' in their salat. So my brothers and my sisters, the first point that I'm going to mention inshaAllah ta'ala is, in order to be able to attain that khushu', is that you are somebody who constantly has on the back of his mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching him. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, that individual, he will lose this blessing or this quality of having the khushu' in the salat the moment he begins to become unmindful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly watching him, looking at him. And that is not just, my brothers and my sisters, in the salah. It is also outside of the salah. That time, my brothers and my sisters, when you're under your blanket and the shaitan is whispering in your ears to go and bring out the haram on your phone. The one constantly, my brothers and my sisters, has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the back of his mind. And it's times like that, my brothers and my sisters, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for you, right? And this is taqwa. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned when speaking about taqwa, is that you place a shield between you and that which you fear. What is it that we fear? The anger of Allah Azza wa Jal, right? And what is this shield? To do what Allah Azza wa told you to do, and to stay away from the things that Allah told you to stay away from. It's times like that, my brothers and my sisters, when you're under your blanket and nobody is with you, and everything is calling you to do haram, that you overcome. Push away the shaitan. That Allah Azza wa Jal now all of a sudden begins to open doors for you and will provide for him from where he doesn't expect. So here, my brothers and my sisters, he clearly says, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, the more a person, he has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the back of his mind, this person will have more khushu'. He will have that glorification, that reverence in his heart towards Allah Azza wa Jal. Every step that you take, every move that you make, my brothers and my sisters, you're asking yourself, is it really for Allah Azza wa Jal? Am I doing this for Allah Azza wa Jal? When I say something, when I do something with my limbs, is it really for Allah Azza wa Jal? That He's overwatching every single movement that I do. The next point that I want to mention, my brothers and my sisters, is point number 2. Constantly, my brothers and my sisters, seeing your shortcomings and seeing your deficiencies. And this is the way of the awliya, my brothers and my sisters. They don't become deluded or complacent with the good deeds that they have come with. They always see themselves that they can do better. Really look at your own deficiencies, and that will cause you to have a constant relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. And you'll have a constant habit of what? Breaking down. No matter what level you reach in knowledge, in righteousness, and so on and so forth. Because there is always what? Room for improvement. And the moment you begin to think, I've made it, that's a problem. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was with Hudhayfah ibn Ayaad. He was from those who knew the secrets of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. One time somebody died, he said to him, give your witness, give your testimony with regards to this individual. And he told him. And then Umar ibn al-Khattab, as he was about to leave the masjid, he grabbed him. And he said to him, was I from those who the Messenger mentioned from amongst the munafiqeen? هذا Umar ibn al-Khattab. The one who was walking on the face of this earth, he knew he was going to Al-Jannah. He told him, you're not. And he goes, I'm not going to tell anyone after you. Ibn Umar radiallahu used to go to Safa, right next to the Kaaba. He would say, Ya Allah, oh Allah, ask you, just like you guided me to Al-Islam, do not strip away Al-Islam from myself. They always looked for avenues of how they can become better individuals. We know the famous story of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, right? And one time they were sitting with the Messenger of Allah, يَطْلُعُ عَلَيْكُمْ الْآنَ رَجُلٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. There will now come upon you an individual who is from the people of Al-Jannah. It's Abdullah ibn Umar. The light bulb in his head went on. And the Messenger said this 3 times. When that individual walked in the 3rd time, he goes, I want to spend 3 nights with you. Just so he can find out what is it that caused him to be from the people of Jannah. Even though Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As was somebody who used to pray in the night, and he used to what? Always fast. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi had to actually tell him, yeah, calm down. The 3rd point, my brothers and my sisters, that was mentioned is to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to ask you guys a question. The moment you find out about a random musalli, that he is somebody who gives a lot of charity, he's a very righteous individual, does that not increase love in our hearts for that person? But before that, we just saw him as an average Joe. Sah? Just comes, prays, and he goes. But we begin to find stuff about him. Have we met individuals like that? Also, the sister that you have a marriage sit down with, before that you had a what? Particular image about her. But then you found out she prays at night. Allah. The moment you begin to find out good stuff about her that she prays, it increases, your urge of wanting to take her. Sah? Then you find something else out, and something else. You're finding more information about her, more qualities. It will increase your love. Sure, we all agree to that. Sahwala, and the sisters likewise, when they hear about that person, have to be fair and equal. And likewise, my brothers and my sisters, I'm not trying to compare a lady to Allah Azza wa Jal, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you come to realize, my brothers and my sisters, that He is the mudabbir of all affairs. Isn't there times, my brothers and my sisters, where we feel like we are going through an ibtila? Something that we really, really love is taken away from us. And you think that the whole world is coming down upon you. And then maybe 1 year later you say to myself, Subhanallah, if that was still in my life, I wouldn't be able to do X, Y, and Z. We realize the hikmah, the wisdom of Allah, fima ba'd, later on. And that just causes what? To feel so good about Allah Azza wa Jal. When you come to realize, my brothers and my sisters, and Allah subhanahu wa razzaq, that He is the provider of all things, and He constantly provides for you, will this individual actually go out and start doing benefit fraud or cheating the government or eating haram and so on and so forth? He is the provider of all things, the one who controls the abd in every way possible. Through that, my brothers and my sisters, learning His names and attributes, learning about the aqeedah, that one must learn about in order to improve his chances of entering into Al-Jannah, this just increases your what? Your glorification of Allah Azza wa Jal. The way you see Allah Azza wa Jal. As for you not knowing about Allah Azza wa Jal, how are you going to have Him on the back of your mind? And this will cause that glorification to be in your heart towards Allah Azza wa Jal. Point number 4, that he prays a prayer as if he's not going to have another opportunity to pray another one. The farewell prayer. That you pray every single salah as if it is going to be your last salah. My brothers and my sisters, the guy on death row, when they give him a couple of moments, to go and do whatever he wants, if it's a Muslim and he decides to go and pray to Allah Azza wa Jal, is that prayer going to be the same prayer as he was praying throughout his life? He's going to treat it differently because he knows he's about to leave this world. And that would be the case if we knew when we are dying. Sah. Somebody is now diagnosed with cancer. From the apparent, it looks like what? That it's a very, very bad thing. Sah. But one thing is going to do, and perhaps this is a blessing in disguise. He's going to be on his toes. He's going to prepare a preparation like no other. This is why the Messenger ﷺ, he told us, be somebody who excessively thinks and ponders upon that which is going to destroy all his pleasures, and that is al-maut. I initially prohibited you from visiting the graves, sah? And now I say to you, go and visit it. Why? What is the reason behind it? It reminds you of the akhirah. In another narration, it makes you overlook the pleasures of the dunya. So if one has death on the back of his mind, wallahi, that prayer is not going to be the same. And this is exactly what the Messenger ﷺ said. Remember death in your salah. Because if one remembers death in his salat, it is most likely that he's going to what? Perfect his salat. And pray the prayer of a man who thinks that he's not going to be able to pray another prayer. Point number 5, my brothers and my sisters, again, this is a very, very powerful point. You have on the back of your mind, my brothers and my sisters, that you are on the bridge that has been placed above the Jahannam. We've all heard about that sirat, right? As Allah Azza wa Jal mentions. There's not an individual except he has to cross that bridge that has been placed above the Jahannam. Look what Hatim al-Asam, لما سئل عن صلاتي, when he was asked by his salah, he said, when the time of the salah comes, I go and perfect my wudu. Then I come to that place where I want to pray. I sit there until I, become collective. Then I stand up for my salah. Then I place the Kaaba in front of my eyes. And I place the sirat, the bridge that is above the hellfire, imagining it under my feet. وَالْجَنَّةِ عَنْ يَمِينَ, and the Jannah is on my right. وَالنَّارَ عَنْ شِمَالِ, and the Nar is placed on my left. And I place the angel of death behind me. I see it to be as if it is my last prayer. How many of us, my brothers and my sisters, have ever imagined that? All the years that we've been praying. Point number 6. We're nearly done, guys. That you empty your heart and that you prefer Allah Azza wa Jal over everything else. I'm going to ask you guys a question. What does Allahu Akbar mean? Allah is the greatest, right? That means that Allah Azza wa Jal is greater than everything else that you're currently engaged in. If you now prefer Harry Kane or Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, the football that you're watching, and you say, I'm going to pray later, what have you done, my brothers and my sisters? Have you really, really acted upon Allahu Akbar? We might say with our tongues, but we're actually acting upon it with our limbs. If you really, really want to know your position with Allah Azza wa Jal, then see what calls you to stand to Him. How much are you actually giving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your main priority? Or have you thrown Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind you? And you've made Him what? A lesser of a priority to what you're doing at the time. Hassan al-Basri, the great tabi'i, said it, when you stand up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then stand up straight. in obedience to Allah subhanahu, just like He commanded you. And also be very wary of turning around from side to side. And last but not least, my brothers and my sisters, point number 7 is to ponder upon the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For indeed, what the pondering and contemplation of the Quran, my brothers and my sisters, what it does is, it unlocks the heart. And this is exactly what Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned in Miftah Dar al-Sa'adah, where he says, that which is now going to open up your heart. First thing that he mentions is tadabbur al-Quran, to ponder upon the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari rahimahullah, he says, it amazes me how somebody can recite the book of Allah Azza wa Jal and he doesn't know its meanings. How is it that he can taste the sweetness of the Quran? My brothers and my sisters, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Before I learned the Arabic language, Taraweeh was just like, is it going to end? And some of us may be feeling like that because we don't understand what the Imam is reading. And you know, it would really, really hurt us that we see certain individuals, right, who are crying, they're going through that khushu', but we don't have a clue what's happening. That really also hurt me. And it kind of encouraged me to go and learn the Arabic language, so I can at least understand that long Taraweeh. Sometimes it goes on for ages and we don't have a clue what's being said. And you can only, my brothers and my sisters, really taste the sweetness of the Quran. You go and study Arabic. This is why Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, learn the Arabic language, for indeed it is part of your religion. But as an alternative, if you don't have that, at least you can do, my brothers and my sisters, is invest in the tafsir of Ibn Kathir in the English language. It's one of the nicest books that I've personally read in English language, because the benefits, my brothers and my sisters, of pondering upon the Quran is many. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, I haven't seen anything that feeds the mind and also feeds the soul and also preserves your body, also guarantees you happiness, more than constantly looking in the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. You know guys, I've met multi-millionaires, sometimes come to Medina, bump into them, we talk. Man's depressed in his life. Some of them even want to go as far as taking their lives. And when you just ask him a couple of questions, it's not rocket science to understand what is missing in his life. The book of Allah Azza wa Jal. He has all the money that he needs. Any of these materialistic things, he's got it all. But the guy's unhappy. But the Quran is missing in his life. And Ibn Taymiyyah is saying, one of the greatest things that is going to guarantee that happiness that you're looking for is the Quran. Because wallahi al-azim, my brothers and my sisters, we can sit here till tomorrow. Every problem that one is facing, we can find in the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, or fi sunnati Rasulillahi Azza wa Jal. And that is a guarantee, without a shadow of a doubt. And also, my brothers and my sisters, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, if one reads the Quran and he ponders upon it, it is from the greatest of means that is going to protect him from falling into sin. It is as if you are building a gate around your home. You're putting a shield around yourself from all the ma'asi that others might easily fall into. Or at least he said, ba'dhiha. At least you're going to find it's going to protect you from some. It's a form of protection. And subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.